Good evening. This is Thursday, August 7th, 89 days until the 2008 presidential election. Convention peace in our time. Breaking news at this hour that the same day the entire Clinton-Obama primaries war seemed to roar back to life. MSNBC and NBC News have learned tonight that Senator Obama has offered Bill Clinton the chance to speak on Wednesday night of the Democratic Convention at Denver. Moreover, the former president has already accepted. This starts our fifth story on the countdown. Earlier today, Senator Clinton spoke of assuring that her supporters would be getting their voices heard in Denver and called the process as old as, you know, Greek drama. So who better to enter stage left than the almost mythological figure of the Democratic Party, William Jefferson Clinton. Time magazine began the day of conflict and resolution by reporting that while in public, Senator Clinton is doing everything she has been asked and more to help elect the man who defeated her in the primaries. In private, she's still harboring grudges and doubts, they said. At a cocktail reception with some of her Silicon Valley supporters in Palo Alto, California last week, the senator telling the gathering that no decisions have been made about suggestions that her name be placed in nomination at the convention and not withdrawn before the first ballot, as is the custom, adding that delegates can decide to do this on their own. They don't need permission. In clips of the event that have been posted on YouTube, the senator believing that the lack of catharsis is blocking unity.
I happen to believe that we will come out stronger if people feel that their voices were heard and their views were respected. I think that is a very big part of how we actually come out unified. Because I know from just what I'm hearing that there's just this incredible pent-up desire. And I think that, you know, people want to feel like, okay, it's a catharsis. We're here, we did it, and then everybody get behind Senator Obama.
The two campaigns issuing a joint statement to tamp down any speculation about disunity that preceded the invitation to Bill Clinton to speak in Denver. Quote, "We are working together to make sure the fall campaign and the convention are a success. At the Democratic convention, we will ensure that the voices of everyone," Bill Clinton, "who participated in this historic process are respected, and our party will be fully unified," Bill Clinton, heading into the November election, Bill Clinton. In a web chat today, Senator Clinton still non-committal when asked about the possibility of her name being placed and kept in nomination. Obama saying today that all convention details are still being worked out, including, again, as NBC News has learned tonight, Bill Clinton speaking to the convention at Obama's invitation on Wednesday night, the 27th. Senator Obama adding that any controversy between him and Senator Clinton is entirely a media creation.
We're talking directly to the Clinton campaign people and the folks who are on her staff, and it has gone seamlessly. It just hasn't been a problem.
So you would not object to having her?
I didn't say that. I said that they're working it out, guys.
How hard can it be, yes or no? Get her name in or not? How hard can it be, yes or no?
I don't understand. What do you mean? Just because I'm not answering your question doesn't mean that it's hard. It's getting worked out by our staffs.
To answer the hard questions, time now to turn to Chris Hayes, Washington editor of The Nation magazine. Chris, good evening.
Hey, Keith.
Get her supporters heard in the morning, promise of resolution from both sides in the afternoon, invitation to President Clinton to speak at the convention at dinner time. That was quick.
Yeah, it was a pretty effective. If it was intentional, it certainly succeeded. I think that, look, they clearly want to make sure that nothing gets blown up very quickly, because the press, for I think some understandable reasons, and for some reasons that I don't think are so understandable, has an obsession with the kind of storyline of the Dems divided, and so any kind of inkling of that is clearly going to sort of set off fireworks. And I think they're being savvy in trying to nip it in the bud.
Is there any idea what else? Presumably this is something that Senator Clinton wants to see, Bill Clinton speaking. Well, I wouldn't think it would be the other answer to that. But what else might she want on the table here? I mean, this idea that her name might remain in nomination through the first ballot sounds nice, but there's the possibility for discord, plus the inevitable fact then comes up that after that first ballot, she'd lose again. Is that something that's going to be wiped off the table as part of whatever this agreement is?
Well, I think the overriding concern from the Obama people, from Howard Dean and people of the DNC, is to not have anything unscripted happen at the convention. So whatever is going to happen there, they're going to figure out ahead of time. Now, in terms of what Senator Clinton wants, I think she wants some level of validation and acknowledgement for what was a tremendously hard-fought and epic and historical primary battle, and I think a lot of her supporters feel the same way. The question is how much that that imperative can be balanced against what is a necessary imperative, which is communicating a unified party going to the general election.
How much, as the British say, stick does she have left? I mean, the one group of Clinton supporters that was talking about a march through Denver the night that she speaks is called 18 million voices, which obviously was roughly her vote total from the primaries, including all of them. Is there any measure of how many of those voices are still active? Has not time weakened them? Do we have any idea how much?
Well, the polling shows time has weakened them, A. B, 18 million voices is certainly, I would go out on a limb and say, an exaggeration of how many people would be willing to march through Denver. I mean, I saw something today online in which a number of these supporters tried to get an email petition going to send out to delegates, and they were only able to get about 400 emails sent. Now, sending 400 emails does not represent a tremendous amount of strength or organization. My sense is that the amount of attention played to what might be called the kind of dead-enders, or the people who are really angry about the results and really don't want to see Obama as the nominee, is disproportionate to their actual numbers. And so the problem is that when we're talking about stick, the problem is that they're present enough to create enough media discord that they could create some problems, particularly when the press is going to be in Denver looking for anything, any kind of story that isn't scripted by the party.
Right. Is that Obama's problem or is that Senator Clinton's problem? Who is capable of assuaging them, however many they may be or may not be, in Denver?
You know, that's a really good question. I mean, I actually think that the clip that was leaked to YouTube, Senator Clinton sounded fairly sensible, and you could see she was talking to her supporters in a situation in which they were agreeing with what she was saying. And I don't think it's illogical or I think it makes sense that the notion that there would be some kind of catharsis would have some unifying effect. I mean, look, in 1988, Jesse Jackson's name was entered into nomination at the convention. I think people thought ultimately that was something that had to happen to kind of acknowledge, you know, the historic nature of his run for the presidency. And I wouldn't think that necessarily it would be a problem if the same were to happen in Denver.
And it would be just the pièce de résistance if then she called for it to be withdrawn at some point. Then there's your solution. Without the vote, or even perhaps
right.
in progress, something along those lines. Anyway, Chris Hayes of The Nation magazine.
Right.
Thank you, Chris.